The Angry Marks Podcast Network is brought to you by WrestleWork, a social network to connect, create, and share everything about pro wrestling. Check it out today at WrestleWork.com.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Well, the real cool thing about that is, in my mind, I was thinking, hey, Matt Morgan's going to get a serious run at the world title. Was that ever talked about, Matt, for you?
If I had a dime for every time, yes, I could have retired 5 years earlier. Yes.
Wow.
I mean, I can, versus Kurt Angle, I can tell you right now, going after my match versus Angle Bound for Glory, when you have the biggest crowd at the time, that's the biggest pay-per-view TNA had ever done live, okay? We were in California, I believe. And when you have an entire arena next world champion, who I just lost. Then when we get to the hotel, Dixie has a pretty cool setup where she allows all the fans to hang out with us in the restaurant and the bar afterwards. And you had probably about 300, 500 fans again chanting just out of nowhere. I just walked in after the show and they all started chanting it again, with her doing it along with them, no less. She was one of my biggest fans. No question. Dixie Carter's a big reason why I even stayed there as long as I did, out of loyalty to her. She's like a family member, honestly. She's the best. I'll never say a bad word about her personally. But anyways, so it's just like that was one time. Then I want to say there was probably about two or three more. I'm going to say probably about two or three more times where it definitely could have, that it was going to go my way, but it just didn't. And there was a time where it went to AJ instead, and looking back, it was the right move. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I mean, you'd love to be a world champion, but it don't pay anymore. At least the TNA it doesn't. So it's like, you'd like to be able to say you have that feather in your cap, right? It's more of a feather in the rest.
Well, they gave you a strap over in India with Ring Ka King. What happened with that promotion? It was getting such positive reviews and got such a big, strong, rave right out of that. And then there was another time I was going to win the title was when we did the Bound for Glory series. And I actually legit did tear my pectoral muscle in a match. Right.
So that's me screwing myself. That's not the writing team's fault. That's no one else's fault but mine. They had to pull me out of the tournament. It was the first year they did that tournament. I don't know if you remember. So and Bobby Roode ended up winning it.
Right.
And he went on to, so anyways, that was another time. And that was around the time that same year where Ring Ka King, I believe, was either about to happen or already did happen. I forget. But it was more of a test kind of a thing, right? How did he do with how did he look? I guess. I don't know what they were looking for. Like, aesthetically, how does he look with a belt? I don't freaking know. Who knows? I just know that it's an honor anytime any company makes you the champion, is the way I see it. And you should be humbled by it, no matter how many fans are there or aren't.
So what made you, Matt, decide you were done?
What's that?
So what made you decide that you were done with TNA after your contract ran out? You wanted to leave?
No, that's it. My contract didn't run out. I asked for my release.
Okay.
I talked to Dixie Carter, one-on-one. It was a night that I had, Sting had me in the Scorpion Deathlock, and I didn't tap out. I didn't say I quit. I just kind of passed out. And that was supposed to evolve into the beginning of our storyline together, building up to me retiring him. All right? Now, I don't know what happened to that storyline. And I remember it was just like kind of for me, the straw that broke the camel's back, going, guys, this is like the 10,000-to-1 time that we say we're going to do something and we stop it. And I go, it just feels like it's the time for me to leave at this point. I was thinking about going back to WWE very, very heavily at this moment for the first time, where the loyalty for Dixie Carter and that company was not paramount over what was going to be best for myself for my career in my prime, and as well as for my family financially, I felt, So it was time to stop being so loyal to a company that I was starting to feel wasn't being as loyal to me anymore. I said it over time and time again in 1,000 interviews. I'm loyal to those that are loyal to me. And I felt that loyalty wasn't coming back my way any longer. So it was time to move on. And I asked Dixie about that, and I was like, if this thing was the storyline Sting thing, I'm getting half the writing team telling me that it's shit canned, and I'm having the other half of the team telling me, no, it's still a go. It's still a go. And she was like, listen, go talk to Eric, see what Eric says, and then let's go from there. I'm like, cool. So I went and asked Eric. Eric said, no, Matt, it's still definitely a go. It's still definitely going to be happening. So I don't know who you're talking to. I was like, all right, well, this is Eric Bischoff. He's pretty high up the food chain. He would know. And I still think he wasn't lying. I don't. I think Eric has no reason to lie. He's not scared of confrontation at all. In fact, I think he invites it, if anything. So I don't think he was lying to me on purpose. But the bottom line was it wasn't the truth, you know. And I finally went back to him. I was like, look, this is the following week. And I was like, this is not what's best for me. I just got to move on. I just think it would make all sense to all the. I mean, what good is it for you guys having me sit on the sidelines and not being used to my full capacity? You're not making your money back, that's for sure, for what you're paying me. I remember saying that. And her just saying, well, let's just think about this. Let's just think and trying to get a clearer head. And that's the thing. I had a clear head at that point. That wasn't like me being irrational or loud about it or upset. I was very calm about it. I was done, basically, mentally. There's no question about it. So again, they started releasing guys that same week. And I was like, why would you, don't release a Crimson, don't release a Joey Ryan, let me go. I'm asking you to be let go. And, and then finally they let me go. And my first intent was let WWE know I was available and whatever. And that is the same exact week. We find out everything's going good with my wife's pregnancy. We were waiting 10 years to have this child. And I guess we had lost some in the past. We've gone through 7 bouts of IVF. That didn't work. Within that 10-year span, we spent over $100,000 on this stuff and to no avail of having a child. So I kept always putting out, I don't want to say negative energy, but I was always expecting the other shoe to fall with this particular pregnancy, unfortunately. I was always expecting something to be taken from me, again, so to speak. And it wasn't happening. Doctors like, no, systems are a go, basically. Everything's lining up perfectly. Your baby's healthy, Mr. Morgan, and all this other good stuff. And I just completely was like, this is really going to happen finally after 10 years, and it just completely took over my mind. So I called WWE, told them, thanks for an opportunity, but I'm not going to be wrestling any longer. And then I called TNA, said the same thing to them. And we were thinking of a way to maybe come back but it just didn't make sense because I wanted to be home with my kid, and be a real father and be there every day, every morning and every night, taking the daycare, pick them back up afterwards and be a present father, and, have a college education I fall back on, I'm a regional manager of a very successful medical device sales company. I'm the number 1 regional manager at this moment, making a lot more money doing that than I did with TNA. So it's just, it made more sense just to get out all together and do, again, what was best for me being a father, because that completely, then the second that kid was born, the first week of January, because at this point, I'm not going to lie, there was still a little bit, I might have done that Royal Rumble that year, okay? This was 2 years ago. Two Royal Rumbles ago, not last Royal Rumble, the Royal Rumble before. There was another bit of contact that I might do the Royal Rumble. So not definite, but just talks. And long story short, it was just like, no, because then my son was born January 7th. And once I saw him born, it was a wrap for me mentally. It was like, I'm done. There's no way I can go back to that. There's no way. There's just no way. I promised God I would never leave this kid's side. He did have a rough birth. We did endure a little bit of craziness and some drama, but he ended up being healthy. He's extremely healthy now, and it just made sense to get out altogether. It's like not even something I've even backtracked on mentally or even thought about again, honestly. And I love pro wrestling. I'll watch the shit out of pro wrestling. I'll always support it. I'm still an 8-year-old when I watch it. I love it to death. But it's really got nothing on being a dad. Nothing. Not even close.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. We're wrapping it up with the Blueprint, Matt Morgan. A couple more for you, Matt, and we'll let you go because we appreciate your time today. My wife and my son have ADHD, and you've gone on record as saying you do too, and you supported a group, CHADD. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what made you decide to get involved with it?
Yeah, when I was wrestling with TNA, Dixie is extremely thorough when it comes to knowing about our personal lives and things like that. It has nothing to do with business, has nothing to do with trying to create characters out of that. It's just realness. It's her giving a shit about her performers. in real life, not because it looks cute or it looks good for a company head to do that. She's very, very passionate about anybody who works for her. And she's somebody I'm still in contact with once in a while to this day. I can text her right now. She'll text me right back or call right back. She's a good human being, one of the best I've ever met. And through many of our talks we've had, we were talking about, what were we talking about? We were talking about learning disabilities. And I was like, yeah, I didn't know if you knew this, but I have attention deficit disorder. And she's like, really? And you graduated, where you graduated in college with ADD? I was like, yeah. She's like, that's a hell of a story. That's really remarkable. And like, she was really, complimentary about it and asked if there's anything I'd want to do. And I was like, yeah, if there's anything I can do that you think would make sense, I don't know who I contact or anything like that. Cause I was just starting out with TNA. I wasn't a star yet. I was still Jim Cornette's bodyguard. I hadn't headlined any pay-per-views or even wrestled yet. I was just about to start that process. So I don't know who I called to help be a part of a charity or organization, So she set that all up with a marketing team, a TNA, and then they took care of the rest. And one day I remember being on Yahoo.com, and it was like this study on famous athletes, celebrities, singers, whatever, that have ADD. And lo and behold, there's the blueprint Matt Morgan next to like Justin Timberlake and some other way more over people in life than me, right? So it started to really, it was really, really cool. So from that, we were able to, this group, Chad, saw that and asked if I'd be willing to speak at their annual convention where you speak in front of 60,000 scientists that are constantly searching for new ways and new, drugs, basically, ADHD drugs, or just overall studies, doctors, teachers, and most importantly, parents with their actual children. And again, my mom, this was diagnosed for me in 1984 by Yale University about my own ADD. She read a report in the Bridgeport Post that they were doing this free testing to see if your kid has ADD. So I've been kicked out of 4 grammar schools all before first grade because everyone thought I was a bad kid, and nobody ever stopped to think that I might have some sort of learning disability instead. So they found out I had ADD. The rest is history. We figured out a way to combat my ADD, which is something called behavior modification. And what that is a very controlled and structured learning environment. And I was in a learning disabled class for the first 4 years of grammar school. And once we figured out how Matt Morgan learns, which is, again, in a highly structured setting, I can't read around other people and be able to retain the information. I need to go walk off on myself.
Exactly like my son.
You know what I mean? There's so many crazy places I would go to read my scripts in wrestling or later on, like even now with my job. I do PowerPoint presentations probably 3 times a week in front of Florida Hospital, all these other hospitals from here to Southern Georgia is my territory. And so like to make sure that I memorize all of these things properly and understand them, I can't just do it with the TV in the background blaring like other people can. I have to go walk off by myself and be in a structured environment, like I said. So anyways, so I did a couple of keynote speaking appearances for Chad, and it was really, really cool. It was one of those rewarding opportunities, really, no question about it, to be that light at the end of the tunnel, story for a lot of those little kids sitting there in the crowd that night. And more importantly, for those parents who were bashing their head into the wall, as my mom was, going, what else can I possibly do here? I don't get it. What are we missing? And basically it was just, that missing ingredient, which is patience. You're doing the right thing, stay the course. And my mom, it just worked for me, was behavior modification. We tried me on Ritalin for about 6 months. It made me super tired and sluggish when I was a little kid. So they pulled me off of that. And then once we instrumented, again, behavior modification, sports was also introduced. So the whole reward system and instant gratification that you get from sports is an ADD kid's dream come true. You know what I mean? ADD kids love instant gratification, So it was just, that was like a perfect marriage, sports. So again, that's my story in a nutshell on how you can't really say you overcome ADD because it doesn't ever go away, but you learn how you yourself learn And you basically just keep repeating that process whenever that situation comes for you to be able to retain information. You just do it. It's the different way that you learn. We all learn differently.
Matt, I want to get your thoughts on one last thing before we let you go for the day, if you would be kind enough, and that is...
way more than 20 minutes, brother.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out that way, did it?
How selfish. My little kid is banging on my sliding glass door as I'm walking laps around my pool talking to you on speakerphone. My kid's banging on the glass door.
As
you
a
don't
person
care.
who,
It's okay. You don't care. You care about your stinking radio. I'm just joking. Go ahead.
I care about. I do care. So if you need to go, I certainly understand.
My kid goes up, he's going to come slam the shit out of you. I'm joking. Go ahead. Go ahead, man.
As a person who has wrestled for AAA, and I don't know if you've seen or heard the news and the video that's out of, Rey Mysterio and the unfortunate tragedy with Perro Aguayo Jr. I guess I want to get your thoughts on that. And
yeah, I saw it I saw it this morning. Morning, and I thought it was very tragic. I mean, and almost sickening to actually watch somebody pass away. Nobody wants to see that. But it just goes to show you what wrestlers do is extremely real. Just because stuff is predetermined doesn't mean that guys literally put their lives on the line every night they get in that ring. It's very true. It's not to sound tougher or cooler to the naysayer fan that says, "Oh, it's fake" or whatever. It's because it's true. But just an unfortunate circumstance. My heart really goes out to Rey, because if anybody knows Rey Mysterio, he has got to have one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen in wrestling, in my life, I should say. Very caring individual. Guys that are his friends are his brothers, and then some. One of the most giving human beings I've ever met. And I can't even imagine being in his shoes and knowing how he's very not emotional in a negative way, but very, very emotional, toward his family and his friends. So I can't even imagine what he must have been going through in that moment, but it's not like it's his fault, you know what I mean? Obviously. Accidents do happen, and that was just I've seen that move done 1,019 bazillion times. Exactly as such. The guy did take a shorter cut than normal when taking the head scissors, trying to get himself directed to the right ropes that I guess he was supposed to be going through. But I've seen guys do that 100 other times as well. It's on the guy who takes the head scissors. It's not like Rey can actually do anything. Like, he can't put that move on you, is what I'm saying. Like, it's all the guy who's carrying. It's the guy who's doing the heavy lifting. It's the guy taking the moves. I can technically take you, hopefully, if you're not too fat and unathletic, which something tells me you are, but I digress, and put you up into that situation, and I can give myself a flying head scissors because I'm strong enough to do it. I'm just playing. But it's really the bulk of it is on the guy. It is on the guy taking it, So accidents happen, man, and that was just a horrible, horrible thing to watch. Horrible, Mike. Heart goes out to the entire guy's family. That's horrible. But again, Rey as well, because that is the one guy that is a true good person. Like, when you talk about a good human being, he's so good. Like, he's such a good person. He's a good follower of Christ. He's just an amazing human being, man.
And the IWC has beaten him up mercilessly for not going over
really?
to him. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
Hold up. They're beating up on Rey?
Yeah, for not going over there immediately and helping him, and instead grabbing the microphone and walking around with Manic.
Okay.
And they're saying he should have been over there with him immediately. I say, come on, guys. He's letting the medical team do their jobs.
Well, I do know you're not ever supposed to, I know this for a fact, we're never ever supposed to touch a guy when you think they have a neck injury of some sort, ever. Like, you try not to pick between Stone Cold, his, when he was power driven at one time and broke his neck and whatnot, like that's such a rare exception. What he was able to do, and even reach up and grab Owen by his trunks even, is so crazy. I can't even explain it to you how crazy that is, that he was even able to do that. But my point is, it's not always like that. That is the only time I've ever seen something like that. If a guy breaks his neck, that's it, lights out, you're not moving. And you're not supposed to touch that guy unless you're a doctor. You know what I mean? It's not because Rey, trust me, Rey's the opposite of that guy. Rey, I'm sure, would be smothering that guy if it would have helped him. You know,
Right.
Ray's a real good guy. I have no reason to say I don't work for well, Ray doesn't work there either. But I was going to say, I don't work for any companies no more. I have no intentions of working for any companies anymore. I'm damn sure ain't going to work in Mexico. Not that I'm not a fan. I'm not leaving my home. That's all. So I have no reason to sugarcoat it or protect anybody here. You know what I mean? He's a true blue good guy. So, that's the last guy I would definitely be picking on or blaming this on. There's nobody to blame it on is my point. It's an accident. That's why it's called an accident. But it wasn't an accident. Let me be clear. It wasn't an accident on Ray's part. He just did his normal move that he does 1,000 times. And it wasn't the guy's fault who took it, but it definitely wasn't Ray's.
Matt Morgan, go spend some time with your son, and Zane and I do the same with ours. And we appreciate it very much you joining us today. Have a great amount of respect for you and giving us of your time today. We appreciate it, buddy.
All right, guys. Anytime. It's a pleasure and honor being on your show, and good luck to you guys.
You too, Matt.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. See y'all.